Have you ever dreamed of traveling to a country where green rice terraces merge with the sky and ancient temples stand amidst the jungle like the footprints of gods? Where boats glide through caves, lotuses glow, and even bridges hold the sky in the palms of their hands? Vietnam is not just a country, it is the breath of Southeast Asia, its living soul and natural magic. Here antiquity and modernity go side by side. You can walk through tunnels of war times, and an hour later, stand on a bridge which seems to be held by heavenly giants. Each place here is like a separate heart, beating to the rhythm of wind, water, and light. From the magical landscapes of Tam Coc to the basalt cliffs by the sea, from the temples of Ninh Binh to the night markets of Da Nang, Vietnam fills the soul with wonder and warmth. It's more than a journey, it's a revelation that will stay with you forever. Are you ready to discover 60 wonders that will make you fall in love with this land at first sight? When you first step onto the deck of a boat in Ha Long Bay, you see a forest of emerald islands floating above the water like legends born from the mist. The sea is not noisy here. It whispers ancient stories of dragons guarding the land. Hundreds of karst cliffs rush into the sky, reflected in the azure like a mirror of dreams. Fishing villages sway on the waves and seem to float between the ages. The sun rises slowly, awakening every ledge, every patch of green. It's easy to forget where you are here. This isn't Vietnam, it's a world between earth and sky. In Ha Long, you don't look, you dissolve. And this landscape stays inside forever. Those looking for quiet in the shadow of Ha Long head to Lan Ha Bay, a bay where every curve of rock hides its own secret. The water is clearer here and there are fewer boats. Just you, green islands, and the cries of seabirds. Stone spires rise straight out of the water like titans frozen in a dance. Kayaking here is like walking through a maze of sunken worlds. Fishermen's huts on stilts give the place a sense of life, of rhythm, of tradition. Jellyfish, reefs, and even monkeys on the rocks are common. Sunsets in Lan Ha are like paintings in golden haze. It is a place where nature does not shout, but sings. This national park is like a portal to prehistoric times. Hundreds of caves, giant, narrow, underwater, cut through the mountains like veins in the body of the earth. Inside Phong Nha is a world of stalactites and stalagmites, resembling temples of ancient gods. Rivers flow right through the underground corridors, reflecting the light of lanterns like spirit lights. Everything here breathes moisture, mystery, and time. You walk and every echo is like the voice of forgotten eras. Phong Nha is not just a park, it is a temple of stone and darkness. Here you realize how small the human hand is before the breath of the planet. To enter Son Doong is to enter the largest hall on the planet, created not by an architect but by millions of years of rain and time. A skyscraper fits inside, and clouds are born just beneath the vaults of the cave. Sunlight breaks through the vaults and paints a daytime landscape inside, with jungles, rivers, even birds. It's not just a cave, it's a world within a world. The fatigue of a multi-day trek is forgotten as soon as you step into this giant cathedral of nature. Every movement here is like a step on an alien planet. The sound of voices sinks into the stone, and you suddenly hear the earth breathing. Son Doong is a place where man becomes a shadow and nature becomes the universe. Conquering Fansipan is not just a climb, it's an initiation. The trail goes through dense jungle, cool clouds, and bridges that crackle underfoot. With every 100 meters, you get closer and closer to the sky. At the top are Buddhist statues floating in the mist, in a view that seems fictional rather than real. To stand there is to stand on the edge of everything. Horizon, forces, thoughts. There are thousands of steps beneath you, fear behind you, elation ahead. Even if you're going up on a cable car, your heart pounds with majesty. It's not just a summit, it's an overcoming. This park is like a musical symphony played on greenery, wind and water. You enter the forest and it embraces you with moisture, coolness, and the smell of moss. The waterfalls of Batma tinkle like strings, and birds echo between the trees. Trails take you deep into the jungle, and each peak opens up new horizons. Monkeys, rare birds, and even deer can be seen here. The observation tower stands like a beacon among the forests, offering a panorama to the ocean. A walk through Batma is like a return to nature, where you are not a guest but a part. Here it is not the air that heals, but the silence itself. This place is like a myth. Wide, tiered waterfalls carry water from the border of Vietnam and China, as if the two countries were joined together. Their rumble is the song of the land, powerful and melodious. Jungle greenery frames each stream, and the mist rises like incense. Tourists arrive on wooden rafts, slowly floating up to the wall of water. Sometimes buffalo appear on the horizon, adding to the sense of surrealism. You want to be silent here because the sound of the water speaks for you. Ban Joc is the moment when nature becomes a great spectacle, and you are a front-row spectator. Tanla is not just beautiful, it's fun and wild. It's not just one waterfall, but a whole cascade, with footbridges, zip lines, and mysterious gorges. Legends say that fairies used to hide in these waters. Tourists rush along the mountain railroad like children in an adventure park. Rocks and trees create tunnels of green and water spray. Tanla plays with you. It scares you, mesmerizes you, douses you with coolness. Everything here is alive, moving, tinkling, and laughing. This waterfall is not for contemplation, but for participation. Baymak Lake lies between the hills like a lost mirror of the sky. Its water is dark and calm, like the breath of an old shaman. In the mornings, a mist rises above the surface, and boats glide like dream shadows. All around are jungles, caves, ethnic minority villages. Here it's as if time slows down, letting you listen to the birds in your own heart. Locals tell legends of spirits living in the depths. At night, the water shines in the moonlight, and it seems that everything around is asleep except the lake. Baymak is a silence that speaks. Getting to Ha Giang means going through clouds and patience. This is the land of motorcyclists, off-roading, and Vietnam's most rugged beauty. The peaks seem to grow out of the sky, and the roads cling to the rocks like threads. All around are terraces of rice, villages with colorful markets, and children running along the trails. Peoples live here, preserving their costumes, songs, and customs. Kaziang doesn't smile. He looks straight into your eyes and waits for you to say, "I'm ready." Courage, respect, and silence are born in these mountains. This is Vietnam at its wildest, freest, and most honest form. Mupi Leng is a road you drive on the edge of the sky. Narrow serpentines pierce the cliffs, and below, the emerald No Khe River coils like a snake. The wind whips across your face, and that's when you realize you're alive. Every turn is like a shot from an epic movie where you are the main character. The silence here is not frightening, but uplifting. People stop not for photos, but to catch their breath from the grandeur. Local boys sit on the rock as if they are the guardians of time. Mupi Leng is a challenge, beauty and freedom at breathtaking height. Five mountains named after the elements. Water, wood, fire, earth, metal are like the fingers of a great titan growing off the coast of Da Nang. Hidden within each are caves, temples, and ancient bas-reliefs covered in moss. You climb the stone steps, and with each step, the air becomes quieter and time slower. Incense, echoing prayers, and rays of light shining through the crevices make it feel like a sanctuary. From here you can see the ocean, the city, the clouds, and everything at once seems part of one great spirit. Here one speaks not aloud, but with a look. The mountains seem to remember all who have walked their paths, and they accept only those who know how to look with their heart. The sand in Nha Trang is white and soft like powder, and the water is clear, warm, and inviting. In the morning, children and monks run on the beach, and in the evening, couples meet the sunset with cocktails and music from the bars. The waves leisurely touch the shore like a lover's whisper. Bicycles ride along the promenade, fruit is sold, caricatures are drawn. This place does not sleep. It lives in the rhythm of rest, smiles, simple joys. There is no rush here, only sunshine and the feeling that everything will be fine. In Nha Trang, you forget about schedules, but remember how to be happy. This is not a resort. It is summer in its purest form. The white sand dunes of Mui Ne are like a piece of the Sahara that accidentally fell on the coast of Vietnam. Here the sand squeaks underfoot. The sun reflects with such force that everything seems unreal. People ride ATVs, sledges, and then sit in the shade of pine trees as if escaped from the mountains. The dunes change every day. The wind draws its patterns, turning the landscape into a living picture. Sometimes Lotus Lake appears in the background, calm as a mirror. The contrast of sand and water, heat and shade is breathtaking. You walk along the top of the dune and then feel like a traveler through worlds. Here time falls asleep with the sun. The pink dunes are warmer, softer, like a sunset stretching across the land. They're not as tall, but this is where every step is like a fairy tale. Children roll down on plastic planks, screaming with delight. The sand here seems to breathe, leaving the warmth of the sun in your fingers. In the evening, it becomes almost orange, like coral, and you just want to lie down and look at the sky. Everything around is drenched in gold. The air, footprints, even smiles. Here you feel yourself not as a tourist, but as a child discovering the world again. And this discovery is priceless. Con Dao is an archipelago where nature takes its course. Endless beaches where no one disturbs the silence, and jungles where rare birds and turtles hide. There was once a terrible prison complex here, and the past still echoes in the stone. But today the island is a sanctuary. Sea turtles come ashore to lay their eggs by moonlight, and divers discover underwater coral gardens. People don't come here for the buzz, they come here to reboot. Con Dao doesn't entertain, it heals. Here, nature is your only interlocutor. Just a few kilometers from Hoi An, you're in another world. The Cham Islands are fishing villages, reefs where starfish play, and beaches with no traces. The people here are friendly, simple, and every day starts with a smile. You can snorkel in the morning, eat the freshest seafood in the afternoon, and listen to the waves tell their tales in the evening. Electricity is not always available, but no one complains. The ocean provides the light. There is no luxury here, but there is freedom, and every day is a celebration of nature. The Cham Islands are a paradise without posters. Amami-Oshima is a tropical Japan where white sand meets turquoise water. There aren't many tourists here, which makes the silence seem even deeper. Reefs guard the lagoons where sea turtles and coral of all colors swim. Palm trees lean toward the water, and the sky is endlessly blue. The local villages live at their own pace without hurry or noise. The beaches here are not just a beautiful place, they are the breath of nature. The waves stroke the shore as if apologizing for their noise. It's a place where you can forget about everything and just be. In a boat along a green corridor, you float into a fairy tale. Tra Su Mangrove Forest is a mangrove jungle where tree roots hug the water and birds chirp in their own language. The water is green, as if colored with jade, and you can't see where it ends and reflection begins. Everything here breathes silence and light. The boatmen steer slowly, as if they are preserving the breath of the forest. Sometimes a heron swims by, or the splash of a fish breaks the peace. This place is not for photos, for meditation. In Tra Su, the soul rests as if it were being rocked in your arms. Tam Coc is an island where everything tastes good. Mangoes, the sea, freedom. Here the beaches are like from an advertisement, but real. White sand, coconuts, fishing boats gliding on the horizon. In the night markets, squid, spices, smiles. In the morning, hiking in the jungle. In the afternoon, diving at the coral. In the evening, sunsets that make your heart sink. People live simply, but not poor. Generously. Here the air smells of salt and pepper, and life flows in its own rhythm. Tam Coc is not just a resort, it is an island of taste and a sense of happiness. In hue, the air seems drenched in the golden dust of the past. Behind the massive walls of the citadel surrounded by a moat, ancient pavilions, temples, and throne rooms are hidden. Emperors of the Nguyen dynasty set foot here, and even the wind sounds restrained, respectful. Brightly colored mosaics, roofs with dragons, shriveled gates. Everything says, history was made here. In the garden you can meet a monk feeding carp, and suddenly the past becomes alive. Tourists walk slowly, as if afraid of disturbing the silence, in which once sounded orders and poetry. Hugh doesn't shout greatness, it whispers, softly and powerfully, and that whisper stays with you forever. In the midst of the jungle, under the singing of cicadas and the breath of the wind, rise ruins as if covered with spells. This is Mekong, the sacred heart of the Cham civilization, ancient and almost forgotten. Brick towers stand, moss-covered, touched by time and bombs, but still majestic. Each carved frieze is a prayer carved in stone. Lotuses blossom at the foot of the altars, as if guardians of the past. Here you feel not destruction, but eternal strength. Nature has not destroyed, it has embraced. Mekong is a place where history and nature come together in a dance of time. At first glance, Thang Long is just a gate, old walls and remnants of foundations. But listen closely and you will hear the stomping of troops, the rustle of scrolls, the breath of centuries. Here stood the capital of ancient Vietnam, the center of power and strength. Archaeological excavations are still going on, as if the earth itself is whispering, not everything has been uncovered. Yellow walls and palaces, shady alleys, ancient wells, everything breathes memory. Here is not the rumble of glory, but the certainty of roots. History in Thang Long is not in the displays, it's in the air. You leave here feeling that you have become part of something ancient. This pagoda is like a lotus flower growing out of a stone. It was built on a single wooden pole as a symbol of enlightenment and rebirth. Small, modest, but with great spiritual depth. There's a quiet garden, a bell rings, smells of incense. People come here to pray for children, health, harmony. It has survived wars, perestroika, and still stands, unbroken, like the spirit of Vietnam. It seems to weigh nothing, floating between heaven and earth. It is not just a temple, it is a prayer in architecture. On the banks of a fragrant river stands a 7-story pagoda, like a beacon for souls. Its silhouette is recognizable from any postcard, but up close it's much deeper. Steps lead upwards, and above your head, there is a bell that makes your heart tremble. There are stories of monks who sacrifice themselves for peace. Boats float on the river, reflecting the pagoda in its waves. Everything around is quiet, reverent, peaceful. It's a place where you can just sit and breathe. Because Tianmu teaches you not to speak, but to listen. The heart of the modern capital hides the heart of an ancient country, a verdant oasis surrounded by a moat and walls. It's not easy to get inside, but even a glance outside is enough to feel the weight of history. Stone bridges, manicured gardens, and the austere silhouettes of the towers create an atmosphere of poised power. This is not a palace in the Western sense. It is as modest as Japan itself. Every stone is in its place. Every pine tree is trimmed. Around the palace is a park where families walk, children run, and cherry blossoms bloom. Here, history and modernity look at each other across the water surface. The palace is a reminder that Japan is a country where the past Suddenly, amidst the bustling Hanoi, you see Gothic towers, as if you're in Paris. This is St. Joseph's Cathedral, a legacy of French architecture, a piece in the midst of chaos. The stained glass windows flicker with color, and the inside smells of candles and time. In the morning, coffee is drunk at the entrance and garlands are lit in the evening. At Christmas, hymns are sung here, in Vietnamese, but with a European soul. The stone of the cathedral is warm, alive. It has absorbed prayers and rains. Tourists and locals sit on the steps as if at the threshold of eternity. This cathedral is not just a temple, it is a bridge between cultures. Two Duke's tomb is not a mausoleum, but a philosophical poem in stone. The emperor designed it himself, dreaming of peace and beauty. The lake, pavilions, bridges, pine trees, everything is designed for reflection, not power. Here you can sit on a bench and listen to the silence in which poetry can be heard. The water reflects the pagodas like a reflection of eternity. Even death here looks soft, poetic. It is not grief, it is acceptance. Tu Duc's tomb is a place where man becomes part of nature. Minman's tomb is strikingly symmetrical. Everything is organized strictly, precisely, like a ritual. The emperor believed in order and harmony, and you can feel it from the first steps. Stone lions, carved gates, shadows of pine trees. Everything emphasizes power and grace. Bridges lead across the lake, and behind them are hidden halls and shrines. The nature here emphasizes the architecture, not arguing with it. The atmosphere is like a museum of the spirit, where every element has significance. Walking here, it is as if you enter the mind of a ruler. This place teaches you that even death can be beautiful. Nui Sam is not high but strong. Its slopes are lined with temples, stupas, and prayer flags. Believers ascend on foot, barefoot, carrying flowers and lotuses. With each step, the air becomes quieter and the heart becomes lighter. At the top, there is a view of the Mekong Delta, green fields, rivers, boats. Here they pray for crops, health, peace of mind. The breeze brings the smell of incense and the chanting of monks. Sam is not just a mountain, it is a path to the light within oneself. Hanoi's Old Quarter is a maze of narrow streets where time has spiraled. Here, the smell of street food mingles with the aromas of coffee and moped smoke. Vendors sit on little plastic stools, boiling broth, slicing limes and pouring fish sauce like a potion. Houses stand shoulder to shoulder, old peeling, with French shutters and Vietnamese flags. Hidden in every alley is a small temple, a shop with paper lanterns, or a workshop where the future is forged. Mornings begin with the clinking of cups and the cries of roosters, and nights with lanterns reflecting in puddles. This is the heart of Hanoi, noisy, alive, inseparable from its soul. You don't just walk here, you breathe in history. Hoi An is like a yellow dream written in the ink of lanterns. The city is all in color. The facades are ochre, the roofs are covered with moss, and the river glistens like a mirror of old times. During the day it is quiet, as if the stones of the banks are thinking, but at night hundreds of lanterns light up. Red, blue, pink, like dreams come to life. Every shop in the old house is a world, from silk to porcelain, from books to incense. Tourists and locals drink tea, listen to live music, and no one is in a hurry to get anywhere. Lantern festivals turn the streets into a fireworks of light and wishes. In Hoi An, you feel like the hero of a fairy tale, with tradition, sea and love woven into it. It's not a city, it's a memory that hasn't happened yet. Saigon is a bustling metropolis with a colonial-era heart. French architecture, with white balconies, ornate facades, and romantic clocks, has survived wars, revolutions, and remained proudly standing. Streets where carriages used to pass through are now buzzing with mopeds, but the bell of the old cathedral still sounds above them. The cafes are reminiscent of Paris, but they serve pho and iced coffee with condensed milk. All around are Art Deco buildings, shady alleys, and the spirit of mixing East and West. It's a place where skyscrapers are juxtaposed with 1930s bakeries. In Saigon, you live in two worlds at once, and it's amazing. The city doesn't shy away from its past. It makes it its style. Ngomon is not just a gate, it is a gateway to the past. Emperors, mandarins, soldiers have passed through it, and every step under the arch was filled with meaning. The tower at the top, with a red roof, thin columns, is like a crown of ancient times. Today, tourists take pictures here, but the spirit of ceremony still hangs in the air. The gate leads to the imperial city, to the silence of history and the resonance of power. The stone underfoot bears the footprints of thousands of feet, voices, decisions. You don't shout here, you freeze here, and you walk forward with a sense of awe. This place is a true wonder of everyday life. The narrow street, the houses literally touch the tracks, and the train rushes through the courtyards like a mirage. Residents are accustomed, a minute before the signal, remove tablecloths, pull back chairs, huddle against the walls. And then, again coffee, again children play classics right on the sleepers. Tourists freeze with their phones, and grandmothers wave as if the train were just a lunch guest. Here, modernity runs along the lines of the past. Everything is rhythmic, strange, beautiful. This is one of those scenes where the city breathes in unison with iron and tea. The French Quarter is morning with croissant and evening with jasmine. Here, the streets are more spacious, the buildings taller, and everything breathes French charm. Lush plane trees pull the shadow on the cobblestones. In the old buildings, embassies, museums, theater, as if descended from postcards of the 19th century. People walk slower here, as if they've been transported to another era. Coffee aromas, perfume smells, and the sounds of classical music from the windows give the place sophistication. Everything feels dulled but not dead, just noble. This is Hanoi, which gently embraces you with the atmosphere of France and doesn't let go. It stands on a cliff by the sea, lonely but proud, like an old sailor. Built by the French, this lighthouse has survived centuries and storms to remain a true landmark. All around is silence, only the whisper of the waves and the cry of seagulls. You get here by water, past fishing boats and coral shoals. Steep steps lead to the top, and each step brings you closer to the wind and freedom. At the top, the panorama is breathtaking. Sea, sky, horizon. The Kaga Lighthouse is like a guardian, silent and majestic. It illuminates not the path, but the feeling of vastness. Sapa seems to have grown out of the clouds. Houses, rice terraces, villages, all in mist. On the streets you meet people in brightly colored ethnic clothing, Hmong, Dao, Thai. Every morning begins with steam over tea and a fresh breeze. The markets here are not just trade, but a ritual where languages, spices, and smiles mingle. All around are mountains that hide and reveal themselves as if alive. Hikers and buffaloes walk along the paths, and tales are heard around the campfire. Sapa feels like home, even if it's your first time here. It's a place for those who seek depth, not only in the landscape, but also in the people. Dalat is called the City of Eternal Spring. There is no heat here, only freshness, flowers, and spruce air. French villas, lakes, mist in the morning create the atmosphere of an alpine resort. Strawberries grow next to coffee, and the markets sell artichokes and roses. The town is drowned in gardens, and on the outskirts there are waterfalls, pine forests, and cable cars. People come here to fall in love, to dream, to write poetry. In the evenings, the city glows softly like a lantern. In Dalat, it's easy to forget what country you're in. It is an oasis for the soul, with the aroma of pine trees and carrot cake. Here, houses bob on the water like boats, and all life happens between the river and the sky. Children swim to school by boat, mothers peddle mangoes straight from their kayaks, and grandmothers knit nets at the entrance. Everything is on the move, from food to prayers. In the morning, the fishing markets come alive like a theater, with colors, fruits, and smells. The river feeds, nourishes, and teaches patience. Water is not a barrier here, but a path. In such villages, one feels how Vietnam lives, simply with labor, but with infinite dignity. And even in the swaying shadow of a boat, there is peace. When the lights go out and a soft spotlight falls on the surface of the water, the magic begins. The wooden puppets seem to come to life. They swim, dance, laugh, fight on the water, as if they have forgotten that this is a stage. They are controlled by masters hidden behind a screen, with thin, long sticks, deftly, precisely, imperceptibly. Music lives nearby. Traditional instruments, songs, and sounds of nature complement each movement. This ancient art is passed down from generation to generation, keeping the spirit of Vietnamese villages alive. Children swoon, adults smile, and tourists can't believe it's not all special effects. The stories are simple, about love, labor, spirits of rice fields, but they touch to the depths. The water theater is the soul of Vietnam, sung by the whisper of water. In Van Phu, silk makes a sound. It is not only woven, it is grown, boiled, dried, ironed, like a caring song. The rhythm of old looms can be heard everywhere, and the scent of dyed threads hangs in the air. The craftsmen work with the precision of surgeons, plucking the threads like strings. Stalls sell shawls, robes, kimonos, all sparkling with colors of lotus, sakura, clouds. Here, even the walls of houses are painted in pastel silk shades. Tourists watch fabric being born from cocoons and remain mesmerized. Wang Phuc is not just a craft, it is silence transformed into beauty. Here everything starts with clay. The soft, earthy-smelling mass is transformed into bowls, vases, and figurines under the hands of craftsmen who seem to come alive through touch. The potter's wheels turn like hearts, smoothly, confidently, with the rhythm of life. Children learn to mold their first pots, adults to contemplate perfection. Everywhere there are drying racks, kilns, rows of painted wares with flowers, birds, and myths. Even the air here seems a little denser, as if saturated with the warmth of hands. Every crack is not a flaw but a story. But Trang is a place where the land teaches you to be patient. Chow Dai is not just a religion, but a whole world of symbols, colors, and light. The markets accompanying the temples sell not only food and fabrics, but also amulets, books, and incense. People come here for inspiration, to socialize, to find balance, to pray to the spirits of all faiths at once. Temples shine with whiteness and colored domes like fairy tale palaces. Everything lives to the rhythm of drums and bells. Festivals turn the streets into processions where dragons dance and flags light up the sky. It's a mix of Buddhism, Christianity, Taoism, all peaceful. Cao Dai doesn't teach, he shows how to bring it all together. Through thick incense smoke and red gates, you enter the world of ancient spirits. This temple is not like the others. It is dark, intense, mystical. Its walls are covered with bas-reliefs, carvings, lotuses, and dragons. People come with requests for love, children, health, write notes, and leave them at the statues. The emperor himself sits in the center, surrounded by heavenly guards. Fish in the pond swim next to turtles as a symbol of eternity and wisdom. One does not feel fear here, but power. This place is like a letter to the higher powers, written on the smell of incense. In Hoi An, lanterns don't hang, they float. Every evening, the village is transformed. The streets light up with hundreds of colorful lights reflecting in the river. The lanterns are handmade from bamboo and fabric, each with its own shape. Round, drop-shaped, star-shaped. They are bought, hung up, launched on the water, like wishes into the sky. The workshops can help you make your own, and suddenly you become part of the tradition. It's not just a craft, it's a light that gives hope. Tourists and Vietnamese stand side by side and everyone smiles. In this light is memory, dream, and peace. Night descends on Saigon, and the streets are filled with the aromas of fried meat, garlic, and soy sauce. Small vans turn into gastronomic theaters. Fansipan pancakes with shrimp are here. Flavored pho with beef is there. Fresh spring rolls and iced tea are farther away. People sit on plastic stools, laughing, tapping chopsticks, all under the light of neon. Everything is cheap, fast, incredibly delicious. The cooks are magicians, throwing noodles into boiling oil with samurai precision. No one is in a hurry here, even though everything is instantaneous. The food street is the pulse of Saigon, and it's delicious. When the sun goes behind the ocean, Da Nang comes alive anew. Glowing lanterns, music, laughter, and the rustle of footsteps fill the night market. Everything from Vietnamese coffee to handmade jewelry is sold here. Street performers play flutes, children buy glowing toys, and lovers share coconut ice cream. Everything shimmers, smells, moves. People haggle, smile, and treat each other. It's a celebration not of the calendar, but of the heart. The night market is the magic of the moment, available to everyone. Here, peoples you've never heard of come to life. The museum doesn't just show, it tells stories through clothes, dwellings, tools, and tales. In the courtyard are real huts where you can walk around, look inside, feel how ancestors lived. Inside are artifacts, masks, boats, drums, all set to the music of ethnic songs. Visitors speak in whispers, as if afraid to disturb the spirits. This is not just a cultural space, but a meeting with the soul of the country. There are no exhibits here. There is life here. The Museum of Ethnology is respect woven into the walls. In Hue, they don't just make things, they create beauty with history. The Handicraft Center is a temple of tradition with masters in lacquering, embroidery, and engraving. Every object, from a fan to a teapot, carries the spirit of empire. Tourists watch how the brush moves on the silk, how the chisel brings out symbols and frieze. Here you can not only buy, but also try it yourself and feel how patience gives birth to perfection. Teachers are happy to show how to hold an instrument, how to choose a color, how to put meaning. The air is filled with the tartness of varnish and the sound of metal. This is a craft that breathes for centuries and never gets old. Tam Coc is like woven from silence, water and rocks that have grown right out of the rice fields. Boats glide along the Son Doong River, and the paddle sounds like a heart beating the rhythm of nature. On either side are majestic karst cliffs, laden with greenery, reflected in the mirrored water. The oar is led by a woman paddling with her feet, an ancient technique passed down. The fields sway in the wind like green waves, and in the caves above your head hang stalactites like dragon's fangs. No words are needed here. The landscape says it all. Every turn of the river reveals a new postcard. Tam Coc is a poem written by river and stone. Odaiba is a Tokyo that decided to play in the future. The artificial island is connected by the Rainbow Bridge, which sparkles with all colors at night. A replica of the Statue of Liberty stands here, and next to it there are robots, VR halls, and mall labs. In the Team Lab Borderless Museum, the boundaries are blurred. You walk through sound, color, and light, and the walls become alive. Beaches meet skyscrapers, ships meet ice cream machines. Everything around you says you're an anime character living in the 2050s. Even the sunset over the bay looks painted here. Odaiba is a fantasy that you can enter through. Baiting is not a temple, but a city of light, stone, and prayer. Its golden domes shine against the backdrop of green hills, and the longest in Asia gallery with statues of Buddha stretches like a path to eternity. Here, every step is an effort of the spirit. Every step is an approach to silence. People come up with prayers, with children, with their hopes. Huge bronze bells hum like the voice of the universe. From the terrace, the view of endless rice paddies and mountains is heart-stopping. In Baidin, past and future are intertwined in the present. It is a place of power that says, you are part of something great. Modest and majestic, the Black Pagoda hides in the mountain like a secret. It is reached by a stone bridge over a lotus pond. And this is where the fairy tale begins. The staircase goes into the rock, and behind it, there is a temple built into a cave. It smells of moisture, candles, and tranquility. The pagoda is built in 3 levels, and each next one takes you deeper inside yourself. The view from the top is breathtaking. Green fields, stone mountains, eternal horizon. Here you want to be silent, breathe, and remember. The Black Pagoda is a temple of shadow, light, and inner peace. On the coast of southern Vietnam, suddenly it's an alien landscape. Thousands of hexagonal columns, as if neatly laid out by the hand of a giant, stretch to the sea. The water crashes against the rocks with the rhythm of eternity, and the breeze brings the smell of salt and time. Crowds rarely come here, and it makes the place seem even more magical. The stones are like musical keys frozen in the moment. They turn golden at dawn and almost inky in overcast weather. Legend has it that they were laid by a dragon in love. Gandao is a symphony of lava and waves. Tuyen Lam Lake in Dalat is like breathing. The morning here is steam over the water, the reflection of pine trees, and the first cry of a bird. Boats float slowly like thoughts, and the air is filled with the scent of pine and coffee. All around are rolling hills, monasteries, lavenders, and peace. It's easy to get lost here at dawn or talking by the water. Tourists are often silent, so as not to ruin it. This lake doesn't make noise, it listens. Tien Lam is a place where time rests. You're walking across the bridge and there are clouds below. Two giant stone hands lift the golden ribbon of the bridge over the Ba Na Mountains. Everything around you is like a dream. Greenery, mist, soaring birds. Here, every step is like a fairy tale, and your heart beats faster. Architecture meets myth, and you are a part of this miracle. Hundreds of tourists take pictures, but no one speaks loudly. The bridge doesn't connect the dots. It connects heaven and earth. It's a miracle made for dreamers. Ba Na is a mix of Europe, clouds, and magic. Climbing up the cable car, the longest in the world, you see the world from above. At the top, you are greeted by a French village with castles, lanterns, and stone streets. It's cool, quiet, smells of coffee and mimosa. Everywhere, gardens, theaters, fountains, as if you are in a fairy tale. In the morning, a fog covers the mountain and everything looks like a dream. And in the distance, the Golden Hands Bridge soars among the clouds. Ba Na is a place where reality smiles on fantasy. There's a whole world under the ground here. During the war, soldiers lived, moved, cooked, healed, and defended in these narrow, dark tunnels, all built by hand, with cunning and bravery. You go squatting, feel the dampness, the silence, and suddenly, respect for all who survived. It's not just a tour, it's a touch of endurance. Outside is forest and silence, but underground is a story of pain and courage. Here people have become shadows to protect the light. Cu Chi is a memory carved into the clay. On the shore of Nha Trang are boulders as if laid out by the hand of a giant. The most famous one is Hong Chong. With a palm print, legend says it is the footprint of an ancient hero. The sea rumbles around, and every wave's crash is like a sigh of time. Lovers, tourists, philosophers gather here. The sun sets directly into the ocean, and the stones turn scarlet. Locals say that if you touch the trail, wishes come true. It is a place of strength, but also cozy. Hong Chong is a stone heart at the edge of the world. Vietnam is not just points on a map, it's a feeling. It's the taste of morning pho, the smell of incense in a pagoda, the reflection of lanterns in the water, and the sound of a boat gliding in silence. Each place on this list is not just beautiful. It's alive, with history, with character, with soul. You may have already felt the urge inside to see it all with your own eyes. Don't put off your dream. Support our channel, subscribe, and together we will go on more amazing journeys. Let's discover the world, deeper, brighter, more honest. See you at the next stop of inspiration.